Well, boys, Season 14, or as Bungie just a few days ago revealed, Season of the Splicer is officially less than a week away. Now, as many of you know, in these final weeks leading up to a new season of Destiny 2, I like to help you guys get as prepared as possible. I've already uploaded a full-on prep guide for the new season a few days back, link in the description for that video. But today, we will be taking a look at the top 5 must-have exotic weapons for Season of the Splicer. Having these exotics locked, loaded, and ready to go is really going to aid you in whatever you decide to dive into when Season 14 drops on May 11th, whether it's the new 6-man activity, Vault of Glass, etc. Now, you know we don't do 5-minute intros around here, so let's get into these juicy exotics. So starting us off at number 5, we have Divinity. Divinity is a 1000 RPM arc trace rifle that is acquired via a questline that ends in you completing the Garden of Salvation raid. I honestly believe that any best exotic weapon list for PvE that doesn't include Divinity is just wrong. Divinity by itself isn't really that good, but it's not meant to be used by itself. It's meant to be used as a support weapon that aids the entire team. This is because of the exotic perk Judgment, which states sustained damage with this weapon envelops a target in a field that weakens and stuns them, strong against overload champions. Now, what that means in simple terms is when an enemy, preferably a major, ultra, or boss, is being hit by this weapon, they become surrounded by a white sphere that acts as a crit when shot at by your teammates. It also, at the same time, increases damage to that enemy being hit by it from all sources. Divinity is the ultimate support weapon. I mean, who doesn't love doing more damage? Now, making its way in at number 4, we have Witherhoard. Witherhoard is a 90 RPM kinetic grenade launcher that is acquired from the Monument to Lost Lights in the tower for 1 Ascendant Shard, 150 Glacial Starwort, 100,000 Glimmer, and 1 exotic Cipher. Witherhoard's exotic perk, Primeval's Torment, states projectiles fired by this weapon blight the target or nearby area on impact. This makes Witherhoard good for both ad clear and background damage. Let me explain. Just fire this weapon into a group of ads and let the blighted area created from the shot take care of all the enemies, or fire it at a major, ultra, or boss and the shot will directly blight them and begin to do tick damage over time, allowing you to switch to another weapon to pump out even more damage. Now, Witherhoard becomes even more potent when used in conjunction with its exotic catalyst and the Ikilos SMG with the mod Global Reach. The exotic catalyst for Witherhoard increases its handling and automatically reloads the weapon when it is holstered. That sounds great and all until you throw in the Ikilos SMG and Global Reach mod that I just mentioned on top of it. The Ikilos SMG with Global Reach now gives you the ability to create Warmind cells. Now, what does this have to do with Witherhoard, you might be asking? Well, what a lot of people don't know is that Witherhoard can actually create or generate Warmind cells by firing it into a group of enemies, then quickly switching to the Ikilos SMG. Now, any kills from the blighted area created by Witherhoard while you're holding the Ikilos SMG will have the same chance as the Ikilos SMG to generate Warmind cells. And now, just as a quick tip, it doesn't have to be the Ikilos SMG. I'm just using that as an example. It can be any weapon that generates Warmind cells. As long as you have the weapon and the mod Global Reach, then Witherhoard can create Warmind cells. But I just use the Ikilos SMG as an example because it's probably the best weapon to pair with Witherhoard when it comes to doing this little trick. Now, even if Witherhoard couldn't create Warmind cells via this little trick, it would still be in my top 10 exotic choices, but because it can, that puts it right here in my top 5. Coming in hot at number 3, we have the Lament. The Lament is a solar sword acquired via a questline from Banshee 44 in the tower. Lament needs no introduction and more than likely no explanation, but just in case you're unsure of what this sword does besides just being able to swing it around, let me read you its exotic perk, Banshee's Well. It states hold to rev the blade, increases damage, shield bypass, and adds shield piercing to all attacks. Gain stacks when dealing damage with revved attacks. Additional stacks increase the damage and damage resistance of heavy attacks. Now, what does all that mumbo jumbo mean? Because it's a lot. Well, you can of course just swing the sword normally and do damage, but when you rev the blade and start doing damage, you begin getting stacks of Banshee's Well. The more stacks you gain, the more damage each attack does. These attacks also bypass elemental shields and will pierce barrier champion shields. Now, the optimal strat to do as much damage as possible is to approach an enemy, rev the blade, then begin doing light attacks until you have 9 stacks of Banshee's Well. Then perform a heavy attack. This will produce an enormous amount of damage. Now, sadly, Lament will be receiving a nerf at the start of Season 14, but the weapon is already so good that I highly doubt the nerf would be enough to make it not one of the best exotic weapons. Lament puts everything in its path to sleep. The only downside, and I don't even know if I would even consider this a downside, is that it can't be used on enemies that you just can't sword. For example, the Garden of Salvation boss, where he's literally floating in the air. You can't sword that. But besides that, Lament is amazing. Fun fact, I actually recently did a challenge over on my Twitch where I went through and solo flawlessed a bunch of the dungeons and special missions, including Harbinger, Presage, Master Presage, Pit of Heresy, and Shadow Throne. Literally solo flawlessed them all, and Lament was my go-to for all of them. Definitely worth picking it up. Making its way in at number 2, we have Xenophage. Xenophage is a 120 RPM solar MG that is acquired via a questline that ends in you doing something special in the Pit of Heresy dungeon. Now, before you freak out and your jaw hits the floor that I just ranked Xenophage number 2 and above Lament, let me explain. Xenophage might not do the most damage and might not have the best DPS in the game, but where it really shines is in its ease of use. No matter what type of player you are, no matter what class you are, etc., you can always pull out Xenophage to do some good damage. Seriously, the ease of use with this weapon is insane. Literally just point and shoot. No need to learn the perfect Lament combo, perfect the Izanagi's Burden reload, and constantly swapping between weapons to do optimal damage. Like I just said, point and shoot. The explosive bullets will do all the work for you. For real, if you're just a casual player, okay? Because there's a lot of casual players that don't want to learn how to do all this special stuff, or, you know, might not want to run the most optimal stuff, but they still want to have fun and do some good damage. Xenophage, you can't go wrong with it. Plus, in some activities, it really is the go-to weapon. So I recommend everyone having Xenophage. And now finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, the #1 best exotic weapon to get your hands on, ladies and gentlemen, Rat King. Rat King is a 69,420 RPM stasis auto ride. Oh, I'm joking. Okay, I'm joking. The real #1 is, surprise, surprise, Anarchy. Wow, who saw that one coming? Can I just say that I am truly surprised that Anarchy hasn't been nerfed yet? It's been making people's top exotic weapons list since its introduction over 2 years ago. Like seriously, I've made like 4 of these videos as I normally update them as the meta changes and whatnot, and Anarchy consistently makes at least top 3 on all of these lists. And please don't nerf it because I love it, but I'm just saying. Now, I'm not going to sit here and explain what Anarchy is because you probably already know. What I will say, however, is that with Vogue coming back and the new 6-man activity being introduced next season, Anarchy is going to dominate like it always has. I have made a full breakdown on Anarchy, so if you're wondering why it's so good and how to optimally use it, that video will be linked in the description. Now, if you're wondering how to get your hands on it, because it used to be a raid exotic and, well, now it's not, it's actually obtainable via the Monument to Lost Lights in the tower for, wait for it, 2 Ascendant Shards, 240, yes, this is the max, Spoils of Conquest, 150,000 Glimmer, and 1 exotic Cipher. Definitely going to take you some saving to obtain, but it's more than worth it. And that is your top 5 exotic weapons that you should have ready to go when Season of the Splicer launches. If you think I missed an exotic or you have your own top 5, then by all means let me know in the comments section. Sometimes you all let me know about certain weapons and how I should be using them to make them really good. And then I go and use them and then they are really good. And then I make a video on them. So please let me know. I love to hear y'all's thoughts. With all that being said, if you enjoy my videos or have ever found them useful, then feel free to subscribe. But remember, only if you want to. Also, you can catch me live over on twitch.tv/myfi with an underscore at the end. So if you want to watch a kind of, from time to time, top tier player, then head on over there. And lastly, if you enjoyed the video, then don't forget to drop a like, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.